In the last video, we started discussing how the SDK can be used to extend the server, and we began with custom in-motion analysis. But I also pointed out that the InsightCM server has built-in interfaces to certain historians, and the SDK expands on this idea by allowing custom processes that introduce new capabilities and new data flows in the system. In this slide, I want to talk about how a custom process interacts with our standard processes, and I want to give some examples on what we can do with that. Now, under the hood, the InsightCM server's architecture is basically a bunch of parallel asynchronous processes that talk on a common message bus. I also had the device over here. It sends messages to the server via a TCP connection that is made between the server comp process on the device and the transceiver process on the server. But effectively, the device is on the same message bus as all the other processes. The SDK offers both a LabVIEW and C# template, which runs in parallel to our standard devices and can talk on the same message bus. Now, services interact using two forms of messaging. Services can talk using a routed message, which is basically a point-to-point message between two services, and broadcast messages. A process can broadcast something onto the message bus, and any process that cares can subscribe to that message. So for example, we could write a custom process which sends a routed message to the asset manager requesting all of the currently configured devices on the server. The asset manager would then query the database for configuration information, then respond with a routed message to the requesting service. An example of a broadcast message is the file manager. This is the service that processes incoming files. When this service is done with a file, it will broadcast a message onto the message bus saying a file is complete. And a custom service could subscribe to that message, which has the file path in it, and interact with the file. Another example of a routed message is the custom service down here could request the value of a tag from the tag service, who will look inside the database, retrieve the information, then respond with a routed message to the requester. So the custom process basically has access to all the communication, data, and configuration of the server. So what can you do with that? One common application is to create an interface to external systems. Like for instance, this could be a cloud server. So we could use a custom service to create an interface between InsightCM and the cloud. This could also be an HMI, it could also be some other application, but the custom service is basically the integration point to interface external systems to InsightCM. Another possible application is we could take our InsightCM device and turn it into a custom device and add a custom service to that. Now, since the device is effectively a part of the message bus, this custom service could talk to the server's custom service using our message bus. And or a different way to do that is that these two custom services could establish a custom communication interface between the two, introducing a new data flow within the system. So hopefully this gives you a little better idea of how the custom service interacts with the system and what you can do with it. Now, in future videos, I'm going to walk through the process of loading the custom service, modifying it, and deploying it on a server. But for now, I just want to make you aware that this exists, that there are both a LabVIEW and C# template from which you can start your development, and I want to walk through the block diagram of the LabVIEW template. So I'll switch over to that now. So if you navigate to C, Program Files, National Instruments, LabVIEW, Examples, InsightCM, and Message Service, you will see a project called MessageService.project. If you open that up, you will get this VI, and this is our template for a custom service on the server. This VI actually can run and immediately makes a connection to the server. And there are some example functions here on what you can do to interact with the server. One of them, by hitting this refresh button, will ask the asset manager what are all the currently configured devices in the system. And currently I just have that one device, Insight CM Demo. And you can select with it and interact it with other functions. I'm going to stop this service and go to the block diagram and show you what's happening. Basically, at the beginning, one of the first things this service does is it registers for broadcast messages. The two that it has registered for are connection status and the completion of a file. After this service starts, there's an event structure, and one of the events is a callback. You use this callback event to receive, parse, and process any communication attempt with this service. Right now we have two responses from the asset manager. We have two other routed messages that this thing can handle, and then we also have the two messages that we registered, the two broadcast messages that we registered for.